Good morning, boys and girls. This is Miss Fun with you again today, and we are going to continue with some review of foundations. So let's look at our first slide, and we're going to review our letters, sounds, letters, keywords, and our sound, our basic keywords. Okay, so remember that I will say the letter, the keyword, and the sound, and you will echo it after me. All right? Start with A, apple, A. B, bat, B. C, cat, C. D, dog, D. E, ed, E. F, fun, F. G, game, G. H, hat, H. I, itch, I. J, jug, J. K, kite, K. L, lamp, L. M, man, M. N, nut, N. O, octopus, ah. P, pan, P. Q with its buddy U, queen, Qu. R, rat, R. S, snake, S. T, top, T. U, up, V, van, V. W, wind, W. X, fox, X. Y, yellow, Y. Z, zebra, Z. All right, let's look at our digraphs. Remember that a digraph are two letters that come together to make one sound. So we have WH, whistle, wh. CH, chin, ch. SH, ship, sh. TH, thumb, th. And CK, sock, k. Good job reviewing those letters, basic keywords, and sounds, boys and girls. Today what we're going to work on will be writing our letters properly. We're going to look at the different types of letters, lowercase letters, and how to write them properly on the line. If we look at our foundations board here, we reviewed this yesterday, where we looked at the different types of lines that we have, our top line being our skyline, our middle line being our plain line, the third line here being our grass line, and then we have a worm line underneath. So these are all important in forming our letters correctly. So let's go over to review those. We talked yesterday about how to sit and how to hold your paper. So if you've got some notebook paper, I'd like for you to get that out and you can practice with me as we go over these. The first group of letters we're going to look at today are our skyline letters. Okay, our skyline letters. I'm going to show you how to do that on regular notebook paper. So when we look at our regular notebook paper, if you have a piece in front of you, this will be our skyline. The very top line here is going to be our skyline. This middle line is going to be our plain line. The third line will be our grass line. And this fourth line will be our worm line. Okay, so let's get started on some letter formation. I'm going to get my marker here. And our first letter is the letter T, and it is a skyline letter. That means that we're going to start forming our letter on the skyline, which is our very top line. And we're going to point to the skyline. We're going to go down to the grass line, and we're going to stop. Okay? And we're going to cross our T on the plane line. Okay? That is our first letter, the letter T. Point to the skyline, go down to the grass line, and then cross it on the plane line. Okay? So T, top, T. Let's look at our letter B. B also starts at the skyline. So point to the skyline, go down to the grass line. We're going to trace back up to the plane line, and we're going to go around to the grass line again. Okay? B, bat, B. Our next skyline letter is the letter F. We're going to point to the skyline because we're going to start it on the skyline. And we're going to trace back on the skyline and then come down to our grass line. And we're going to cross the F at the plane line. F, fun, F. Our next skyline letter is the letter L. Again, we're going to point to the skyline, go down to the grass line, and stop. L, lamp, L. All right, let's look at the letter H, our next skyline letter. We are going to point to the skyline, go down to the grass line, trace back up to the plane line, and make a hump. H, hat, H. All right. Our next skyline letter is the letter K, and this is our last skyline letter. We're going to move down. So remember, this was our worm line, so I'm going to move down to this next line, which will be our skyline, our plane line, our grass line, and our worm line. All right, so I'm going to start here on my plane line. And I'm going to go all the way down to the grass line. Now I'm going to point to the plane line and leave a little space. And I'm going to slide over to touch my taw line. And I'm going to slide back down to the grass line. K, kite, K. Now, all of these letters are our skyline letters. So I'm going to write that up here so we will know that these are our skyline letters. Oh, Miss Fun is, let me see, I'm going to have to make a little bit of a mark there. All right. Skyline. These are our skyline letters. Ooh, it's hard to write this with no lines to help me. Okay, these will be our skyline letters, and you keep practicing those over the days and get better and better with your writing. I hope they look better than Miss Fun's. It's kind of difficult to write on this computer. All right, we're going to look at another letter formation, and these are our plain line letters. So where do you think we're going to start these letters? We're going to start them on the plain line. Okay, so the first letter, plain line letter, is the letter N. Remember, this is our skyline. This is our plain line. This is our grass line, and this is our worm line. So we're going to start on our plain line with the letter N. Point to the plain line. Go down to the grass line. Trace back up to the plain line. And make a hump. N, nut, N is the letter N. That is our first plain line letter. All right. The next plain line letter is the letter M. So we're going to point to the plain line, go down to the grass line, trace back up, make a hump down, going down to the grass line again, and then make another hump that comes down to the grass line. And we have M, man, M. All right. Our next plain line letter is the letter I. Point to the plain line. Go down to the grass line. And then we're going to add a dot up here. Okay. I'm going to add a dot. I, itch, I. Our next letter formation is for the letter R, another plain line letter. So we're going to point to the plain line, go down to the grass line, trace back up to the plain line, and make a little curve. And there is our R. R, rat, R. All right. U is another plain line letter. So we're going to come down to our next line. Remember, this was our worm line. So let's go down, and this will be our skyline, plain line, grass line, worm line. So we're going to start on the plain line because this is a plain line letter. We're going to point to the plain line and go down to the grass line and then curve up again to the plain line and trace straight down to the, back down to the grass line. U, up, that is the letter U. All right. Letter P is the next plain line letter. So let's point to our plain line. Go down to the worm line. So we're going to go through the grass line all the way down to the plain line. Trace back up the plain line and curve all the way back around to our grass line. And that is our letter P. P, pan, P. J is the next letter that is a plain line letter. Okay, so let's start at our plain line. We're going to go all the way down to the worm line again. So through the grass line to the worm line, and we're going to make a curve. Okay, and then we're going to add a dot up here. Okay, boys and girls, that is the end of today's lesson, and tomorrow we will look at 2 more sets of letters that are will be in different groups as far as the way we form them, where we start on them. So today we looked at reviewing our letters, our keywords, our sounds, and we looked at our skyline, how to write our skyline letters, and how to write our plain line letters. Okay? And I will see you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.